So we talk a lot about the same stuff, kind of
How dare you?
over and over again. Yeah, for good reason. But it's, look at your positioning. You got to get better at positioning and sharpen and refine that. And then you got to do your marketing and your business development and yeah, all that stuff, right? And I think people get it. It's I'm not saying they're doing the right things, but conceptually they understand the importance of the topics that we're discussing. I think. I've never heard anybody say, "Well, that's not important." I think the bigger question on people's minds is, yeah, but when should I take that stuff seriously? Do I have to do it now? Is it a now thing? Can I defer it to later? And hopefully never. I think
Yeah.
some people
Well,
have.
or they're not even asking the question, right? Because they're like, well, I'm kind of busy today a little bit. So it's fine. We'll worry about it later. That's a tomorrow problem.
So I thought let's just have an honest conversation about it and give people the reasons why maybe they don't need to worry about positioning and marketing and building pipeline and all those things. And this is not a sarcastic episode. We should maybe do that too. That's another idea altogether. Let's do a sarcastic version. But I don't mean this to be sarcastic. I mean this to be honest, genuine. Here's when you probably don't need to worry about these things for now. Probably not forever, but for now. And we'll offer some caveats as we go. Is that fair? So I think the first one is positioning becomes really important when you run out of or are about to run out of warm network to keep you busy. And most people I ask this question to affirm positively. And the question is it fair to say that most of the business you generated to date, 80, 90% of the business you generated to date has come from the warm network of people who already know, like, and trust you? And people that we talk to, it's, almost always, yes, 100%. That's true for me. And that's how most consultants start. That's how they sustain themselves for an amount of time. Our perspective here is that eventually, and this has been our experience, eventually you will run out of network. That network is finite. But how long you'll last, I don't know. I've seen people last 10, 15, 20 years, seen people last 10 months or less. If you're in a position where you're busy, your network's feeding you deals, there's opportunity coming through, then I'd like to convince you that you should be building pipeline and sharpening your positioning. I don't know that you're going to listen, right? And so I think if you're feeling well fed from your network, you probably don't need to take immediate action unless there's reason to believe, there's writing on the wall that would tell you that maybe the jig is going to end soon. Maybe the jig is up soon, right? So I'd rather you take action sooner rather than later. But if you don't see any signs of the network starting to diminish in terms of the opportunity it sends you, you're okay for now, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's worth separating the fact that you're busy from the fact that your pipeline is full. Because you can be really busy. And if, for example, you're really busy with one big client and it dries up tomorrow, then you're in trouble, right? But if you're really busy and, to me, I think there's a litmus test that is, if this particular piece or a particular piece of work that I'm doing ends, what will happen next, right? Are there more behind it? Will I be okay? If you feel confident there, I think that's really the thing to be honest with yourself about.
It's an important caveat, right? So if you're busy with one client, one whale, yeah, you need to ask yourself that question. What happens if this disappears tomorrow? Because it could. And I would add to that, even if you're busy, are you getting a steady flow of interest from your network? Are you getting a steady flow of inquiries, introductions, meetings, referrals? Now, what is steady flow? That's up to you. I'm not going to put a number on it. But do you feel like there's sufficient opportunity flowing in such that if one or more of your engagements ended today, you could fairly quickly replace that income? Again, if so, I don't think you need to be particularly concerned about your positioning or your pipeline. That is assuming that you don't want to grow. That's assuming status quo. You're making $250 a year. You want to keep making $250 a year. You're busy right now. You feel like you can reasonably replace the work if you lose it. If you want to grow, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. And I think that actually flows nicely into the second reason why you wouldn't want to make a change, which is you're making enough money. right? You're happy with the income that you have. You don't, see the need for or have a desire to make more, charge more. And there are two different ways to make more revenue, right? One is to have more clients and the other is to charge more per client. And great positioning, great marketing is going to help you charge more per client. And so, the question there is similar but different. Are you happy with what you're able to charge? And if you are, then carry on, right? Do as you are and continue to be happy with it.
I have a hard time with this one, and I have to avoid not being sarcastic here because stronger positioning will raise your fees. It's really simple, supply and demand. It's very basic economics. You can hop on my power positioning workshop to learn how that works, but it's very simple. If your positioning is currently broad and generic, tightening that up will increase your fees and you will earn more money without doing more work, and it will increase the demand for your services. So I have a really hard time with this one. Yes, I agree that if you don't feel the need to make more money, that's up to you. Now, I'm not here to judge you for that. That's perfectly fair. Some people have other priorities, and that's not good or bad. However, in the interest of being honest, what if a few simple tweaks to your positioning could increase your revenue by 20 to 50% with no additional work on your part? Same client, same market, same offer. I have a hard time telling people to leave that kind of money on the table, right? So I'm kind of waffling on this one a little bit. Yes, it's true. If you're satisfied with your income and you don't feel the need to rock the boat, sure. And at the same time, a few simple tweaks to how you present yourself can have a very, very material impact on your fees. Number 3 is a sales cycle question, right? And so often people selling B2B will complain about sales cycles. Well, it takes 3 months, it takes 6 months, it takes 9 months, it takes a year. And again, this comes back to if you're busy and you don't see an immediate need to replace business and you have that kind of time, then so be it, right? And so if you're getting a steady flow of inquiries, and yeah, they take 3, 6, 9, 12 months to nurture, but you're not immediately concerned about losing business in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, then you don't have a problem. Will a better positioning, will a stronger pipeline shorten the sales cycle? Well, yes and no. So stronger positioning and better offers, what we call results mechanisms, can shorten sales cycles. And we have some really tangible tactics that we recommend to our clients to shorten sales cycles. Building pipeline doesn't necessarily shorten the sales cycle, but it does give you more opportunity, right? So a pipeline of, let's say, 5 prospective clients who are all dragging their feet on a deal, that's not very helpful. Everyone's delaying, everyone's dragging their feet. But if that pipeline becomes 20 prospective clients, well, there's probably a few in there that have more urgency and are willing to go faster. Plus, you can kind of pit them against each other, because what often happens in this scenario, and we work through our clients with this all the time, is you've got a handful of deals that are on the table. No one's biting right away, right? And you have this problem where if nobody bites, well, that's a problem. And if they all bite, that's a real problem, because now you've got too much work, more than you can handle. And so what you do is you start to pit them against each other. Like the first one that go through, the first couple that go through, I'm going to work on. Everybody else has to wait. So sales cycles are a real pain point for a lot of folks. But if the longer sales cycles are not hurting you because you're busy and you don't see reason to believe that you're not going to be busy for the foreseeable future, then you don't need to solve that problem either.
Yeah. Yeah. The next reason, I think maybe this one should have been first, but we can debate order of points here for a moment. But I mean, the other reality is maybe your positioning is great, right? We're not out here telling everyone they're doing a terrible job. If you can tell people exactly what you do, exactly who you do it for, exactly what the benefit is, exactly why you're different, then, and you're not seeing the challenges that come with having weak positioning, then pat yourself on the back, right? And move along. I think the critical thing is really being able to assess if that's the case, right? Knowing if you've done all the work, understanding if you've really hit the mark, understanding that, having clarity so that if you have a conversation with someone, you can talk to them and in 2 minutes or less, they are very clear on what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, and I think they are clear is the real key there, right? So I think people struggle with this at two levels. One is just even articulating what they do. I can't even get the words out. I don't know what to say. It sounds vague. It sounds generic. It sounds salesy. It sounds whatever. I can't even come up with the words or the articulation. I find it hard to conceptualize the broad, vast value that I create in a few words or sentences, and that's a problem for a lot of people. And if that's you, I would argue even if your warm network is strong, you're leaving money on the table because yeah, they know, like, and trust you by definition, but if they had more clarity on what you did, they would certainly send you more business, right? And so articulating it is one challenge, and then having it be heard and received effectively is a whole other challenge. You know, for example, you said a few things. Who do you serve? Who do you serve? What problem do you solve? Why you're different. Now you can say why you're different. You can say, well, we have better customer service. Well, we have a better team. And well, we've got more experience. But nobody believes those things. Well, I shouldn't say nobody believes those things. Nobody cares about those things because they're not provable. So being clear about what you do is certainly important. But what's more important is, does it land with a prospect? Does it land with a client? Are they able to put you in a box in their mind? Oh, this consultant does this, and they do it in this different, interesting way, which is compelling. Take note of that. Like, are they interested and intrigued by your proposition after hearing it? That's the real litmus test.
You know, we touched on it before, but this all just comes down to how things are going, right? Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you comfortable? Are you confident? And if you can go to sleep, you know, easily every night, knowing that you are charging the rates that you deserve, right? That your service would earn. If you can go to sleep at night not worried that the business is going to run out, if you go to sleep at night not feeling, you know, put upon by your whale client who's adding more and more demands every day, if you can go to sleep at night, you know, confident that the business that you are currently running is the one you want to run, then that's great. The challenge lies when that's not the case, right? When you are worried, when you feel that niggling little feeling in the back of your neck that is, oh no, right? I don't necessarily have enough opportunity coming towards me, or oof, I feel like my competitors are charging more, or oh no, what happens if, you know, this client doesn't want to use me to the extent that they are right now. You really need to dial in to how you feel about your business, because in the end, we talk about this all the time, right? It's your business. You're the one making the decisions. You're the one who gets to decide the direction it goes. And so what you really need to understand is how you feel. And sometimes that takes a little bit of self-reflection more than we always do on a daily basis.
And sometimes it's got nothing to do with revenue. The problems or the challenges. You know, I had a conversation yesterday with somebody who said, you know, I am not the most financially motivated person. If I can make $250,000 a year, and he's been making that, maybe that's why he's not very motivated. If I can make $250,000 a year, I'm pretty happy. What's more important to me, he said, was working with clients that don't drain my soul, that don't drain my energy. I want to work with clients that are energizing to work with, that I'm happy to work with, that I enjoy working with, where the experience is fulfilling, and not what I'm getting right now, which is soul sucking, energy sucking, draining clients that I don't want to work with. I dread meeting. I'm counting down the days to the engagement, but I need to work with them because I need the money. Right. And so sometimes it's not revenue. It's just, to your point, like, do you feel good about the work you're doing? Do you feel like your expertise is being adequately utilized? Do you feel like you're contributing what you know you can contribute? And if not, yeah, there's a revenue side to that, sure, but perhaps what's more important to you is just the fulfillment of knowing that you're delivering what you're capable of delivering to the people that value that delivery.